Hi, everybody. I'm Caro Melnick, and I'm a NLP practitioner and soul journey coach. I'm here with Jax, the Heartist, and together we've put together this webinar about anxiety because we've bumped into so many people who have brought up this topic. And so many people with today's pressures in, the workplace, basically, running your family, etc., are coping or struggling to cope with anxiety. They're living with anxiety in some shape and form. So we thought, let's do a free webinar around this. And Jax is also going to add on a special resonance repatterning session for those that are here. We're not going to publish the actual resonance repatterning session on YouTube, but just to give you some awareness around what resonance repatterning is and how effective it can be, because everything is energy and anxiety is clearly linked to your energy as well. Okay. So let's get cracking. And before we start, I just want to mention a few admin things. Number one, that we are recording this session and we're going to post it onto YouTube. So anyone who wants to share, the chat will not be shared with anybody. So please use the chat box. You are welcome to put your hand up and talk to us, put your camera on and have a discussion if you feel that you'd like to do that. We'd love to hear from you and interact with you. So also, we will send you after this session, we're going to send you a copy of the slide deck so that you have the information and can refer back to it. And we encourage you, and obviously a link to the replay so that you can watch it again. Please feel free to share this with everyone that you meet that you feel could benefit from the session. We are very happy for you to share it. Not the resonance repatterning bit, because that is very personal to those people who are here in the room right now. But the first section, so we're going to send you two different recordings. One is the YouTube link, which will be your anxiety, the first set of slides. And then when I hand over to Jax, I'm going to stop the recording and start a brand new recording of the resonance repatterning session, which is exclusively for those who have registered here on the Zoom link. Okay. So if you have any questions or would like to contribute, please pop it into the chat box. If you have something personal that you don't want everybody else to know, but Jax needs to be aware of it because she's doing the resonance repatterning, please send her a message directly in the chat box. And we do have quite a bit to cover in a very short space of time. So if we do run over a little bit with the resonance repatterning session, please bear with us, but it is very, very important that we follow the correct processes and that everything is cleared that needs to be, done for tonight. Okay. So is everybody ready? Right. Now my slides aren't moving. Ooh, sorry. Okay, there we go. So the first thing we'd like to make you aware of is that Jax and I are not medical professionals or psychologists, and anxiety is something that's rather complex. Now, people live with anxiety in their everyday life. Change will cause anxiety, pressures at work will cause anxiety, and learning how to manage your everyday anxiety is very, very important, and that's where Jax and I come in. Whereas if you find that it's not being under control and it's, you just are not able to get it under control, please can you consult with a professional, a medical or a mental health professional to help you with this. It's not a magic formula to stop taking your medication, but it is something that can really, really help you to manage day-to-day anxiety. So who is this for? If you're watching the video and you haven't seen our invitations, etc. So I just want to quickly touch on who benefits from this session. It's for you if you have been feeling stuck, if you're feeling weighed down, constantly overwhelmed, you're on high alert, and perhaps you're finding that even small tasks are getting a little bit too much. For those who are wanting to understand what anxiety is, perhaps someone close to you struggles with anxiety, and you'd like to understand it a little bit better, then please watch this. It is going to give you a good understanding of it, so that you can help somebody else as well. So this is our agenda. We're going to go through what anxiety is, what your common emotional and triggers are, some simple techniques of how to manage anxiety in your everyday life. Then we're going to introduce you to resonance repatterning, and Jax is going to do her session, and we're going to tie it up all at the end with practical takeaways for your healing journey. So what anxiety really, really is, it's not just worry. Okay, some people think that it's worrying and stressing about things. Anxiety actually affects your mind, your body, and your energy levels. So once you understand that you need to take a holistic approach to coping and managing with anxiety, it helps you tremendously. This simple understanding. Remember that what happens here in your mind affects your whole body, because chemicals are released, etc. So that is a physical thing. And what is happening with your body is affecting your mind as well. And all of that affects your energy levels. So anxiety is a very complex thing to understand, but just grasping the fact that it's a mind, body, and energy like balancing act that you're playing with anxiety will definitely help you to regulate it and manage it on a daily level.
Caro, can I just add there, it's very much also connected into the nervous system. So the autonomic nervous system, which has two parts. So there's your sympathetic nervous system, which is your go into action. When you're doing things, when you're busy with tasks, when you are focused, that's the part of you that's doing, is your sympathetic nervous system. And then you have your parasympathetic nervous system, which is your rest, relax, and digest. And when anxiety sort of starts building up, what's happening is your sympathetic nervous system gets stuck in always being on. And the parasympathetic nervous system, to rest, relax, digest, doesn't switch on, or it's much more difficult to switch on. So it's almost getting stuck in that worry loop. That nervous system is actually stuck in a little bit of overdrive.
Yeah.
Okay. Just wanted to add that.
Thank you, Jax. I really appreciate that. I have this video on Facebook that I'm now trying to figure out how to get to the other window. This is very complicated. I have no idea how, so that I can. Okay, let me stop share and just share the Facebook, because this is actually very, very interesting, that Jax found on Facebook. It wraps up anxiety in such a great nutshell. So please bear with me. Okay, let's unmute first. Oh, I hope it's sharing sound. How do I know if it's sharing sound? Okay, I'm going to play. If you guys can't hear the sound, please let me know.
Relate to your future as you're not going to be okay.
Bro, that's literally it. It's like I'm anticipating the worst.
Yeah, which is called anxiety, right? But you don't know what's going to happen. That is the truth about the future. People say they fear the unknown. I'm like, no, you do not. You do not fear the unknown. Why? Because you don't know what it is. How can you fear the unknown? What you're fearing is what your brain is superimposing on top of the unknown. Because what do you know about the future?
Nothing.
Nothing. Because the future's fucking uncertain. Think about this. You've got one brain literally imagining worst case scenarios. That same brain then is like, well, shit, how do I avoid that? Your brain made up a problem, and then your brain is trying to avoid the problem that it made up.
It's crazy.
And then you wonder why people drink so much and they're on medication. In the absence of the fear that you're not going to be okay, it's gone. How could you feel?
Present. Just calm.
That's a little different than anxiety, isn't it?
Man, yeah.
You're basically going from a lie that you were oblivious to now a truth that you're aware of. Welcome to a new world.
Crazy. Appreciate it.
Okay, so that's a little bit of an eye-opener about anxiety and your brain playing tricks on you. Your brain can be a drama queen. Okay, so let's go back to the slideshow now. Right. Okay, so now we want to pop a question for everybody to give some thought to, and please either feel free to share or just, put your comments, your feedback into the chat box, and your feedback will help Jax with, when it comes to the resonance repatterning session. So when you think about anxiety in your own life, your everyday life, what is one way that it most often shows up for you? Is it more in your mind or your body or your energy levels? Okay. Don't overthink it. Everybody has anxiety. Just pop your answers in the chat box. Right. Okie doke. So Jax, you're going to refer back to the chat with your session, or is there anything you want to? I can't hear you.
So I'm assuming, Mark, then it's low energy levels. So your energy levels are low. And Sharon, your mind, is it like a repetitive thought? Like, if you can give me just repetitive thought loops.
Thought loops, exactly that.
Okay.
Okay. Right, so let's move on. I love quotes, and I came across this one, which is so relevant when it comes to anxiety. Slow breathing is like an anchor in the midst of an emotional storm. The anchor won't make the storm go away, but it will hold you steady until it passes. Isn't that amazing? Slow breathing. It's a miracle. I so believe in breathing, breath work. Okay, so where does anxiety come from? Any guesses? Okay, so anxiety is very, it doesn't just appear out of nowhere. There's always a source that it comes from. And it's when you can start identifying if there's a pattern or a trend in your life, something that's triggering your anxiety, or someplace that it's consistently, a source that it's coming from, that will help you to address it and to prevent it in the future. So often it's from emotional roots, past trauma, unresolved grief. Some of us like to take all our emotions and pack them neatly away in a box and then just like try and pretend they don't exist. That can show up in anxiety at some point, and you'll wonder, okay, where does this come from? Environmental triggers, some people don't like noise. Conflict is a big one as well. Overstimulation, media, learned patterns from childhood or relationships. That's another thing. biological and nervous system factors, which is, less from the emotional and psychological side. That's more physical. Energy imbalances and stuck patterns, which is what Jax is going to work with later. And parasites. We get parasites from food we eat, from, all sorts of environmental factors, and we don't really realize what an impact it can have on us and your gut issues if your gut is out of sync or not happy with something.
So Caro, can I add, like, just going a level deeper, and it's sort of the system is scanning the environment and the internal environment and the external environment all the time to say, am I safe? Okay, that's sort of the underlying, there's an underlying feeling of I'm not safe. It's like that clip was saying, the fear of the future. So I'm not going to be okay. I'm not safe. So anxiety is often like scanning for, am I safe? Am I not safe? And the fear that I'm not actually safe is sometimes a primary kind of, well, I'm not okay. There's a primary kind of thought that can come from past trauma, etc., etc. That's sort of quite a common thought pattern in my experience.
Cool. Thanks, Jax. So your source of your anxiety and your triggers are two different things, okay? So a trigger is something that will set something off, like this match. You light the match and suddenly all the other matches will light. That is very much how a trigger works. A source is a little bit different. And to understand the difference, you'll see now when I run through the triggers what the difference is. So a trigger is work pressure and deadlines. Something happens, then it's like, and where does that come from? So there will be a source, maybe a past experience where you missed a deadline and it was an absolute disaster and your boss came down on you like a ton of bricks and, insulted you. And the next time you have a deadline and you're not going to meet it, it's going to trigger anxiety because you've learned from past experience. So can you see the difference between the source of anxiety and a trigger? Relationship stress, financial uncertainty, health worries, major life transitions, these are all things that can start the process of anxiety in your life. Excessive eating of the wrong foods. It sounds funny, but actually, especially for people who are struggling with, health issues or weight issues, or it's amazing. Like I get here in the afternoon and suddenly I feel like snacking on a packet of chips or something. Because you're stressing about a deadline or something like that. And now because you've eaten the wrong foods, it's now triggering a whole different anxiety loop. So some of us are running with more than one anxiety loop at the same time, which is very, very precarious position to be in, especially if you don't recognize it. And once you recognize it, you can actually do something to keep it in check. Okay, now how does anxiety show up? It says, hello, I'm here. And if you can start recognizing anxiety for what it is, that's the third thing that's going to help you to, start the process of managing your anxiety. So mentally, overthinking, decision paralysis, procrastination. I don't know why that's not on here. You'll do it tomorrow because you don't want to face up to it today. Physically, you can have headaches, muscle tension, here in your shoulders, Um, disrupted sleep. You've got that little guy in your head chirping away to you. Now you can't sleep. It's amazing how you didn't think of these things during the day, but suddenly that your head hits the pillow and you can't go to sleep because you remembered your whole checklist. Emotional signs of anxiety. Are you getting irritated? You know, normally, if you're the kind of person that can deal with a difficult client and, calm them down, reassure them, even though they are going bananas and complaining. And now suddenly today, you're getting irritated with them and it's uncharacteristic. It could be a sign of anxiety. Emotional is also fear, sadness. Yeah, those kind of emotions could be a sign. And then energetically, low vitality, restlessness. So almost the opposite end of the spectrum, but yeah, you just don't want to get up out of bed that morning because your energy levels are so low. Yeah. So now that we've had a look at what anxiety is, what the sources and the triggers are of anxiety, and how it shows up in your life, here's a question for you. What's the number one thing that currently is causing anxiety for you in your life right now? The number one thing, if you could choose one thing. Pop it in the chat box because Jax will appreciate to hear that from you. Okay, and then this is where we're going to look at our next, before we go on to the simple tools for everyday management, we have another quick short video to listen to. So bear with me. I'm going to find it quickly. Okay, so it's not this one. It's this one here.
Why do we always have the anxiety?
I don't anymore. And you know why? I have a mentor. And one of these mentors is this university professor called Sri Kumar Rao. And he's this guy from India. And he moves to the US and he becomes a famous university professor. And he's teaching in Kellogg and Columbia University. And people are lining up to get into his classes. And one of the things he told me is he said, beliefs shape our world. What you believe about the world is going to be true for you, right? And we see this right now with medicine. If we believe something about our health, it impacts our health. We all know this. It's called the placebo effect. But I asked Sri Kumar Rao, what is the most important belief? And he said the most important belief in his mind that any human being can have is the belief of a benevolent universe. And what he means by that is the belief that the universe or God is watching out for you. So if you believe that God of the universe is watching out for you, is protecting you, and anything that happens to you is happening not to you, but for you. I have that belief. It didn't come easy. I didn't always have that belief, but I have that belief now. And I gotta say, it puts that anxiety away. I don't experience anxiety really for anything right now, even for my own death.
Wow. That's quite a powerful statement. All right, so now let's go back to our presentation and we're going to quickly have a look at some small steps that you can take in your daily life to help you cope with anxiety. My Zoom controls are in my way now. Okay, so the first is grounding breath, and I'm not going to go through this in detail. We have covered it maybe after the resonance repatterning session. If you've got a question and you'd like us to show you how to do it, we'd be happy to cover that. Okay, but grounding breath is basically 4-4-6 breathing. So it's breathe in for 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds, breathe out for 6 seconds. And repeat that process. Breath work is so powerful when it comes to calming your system down and bringing you back to a normal state. Sensory reset, which is touch, smell, sound. A very good example of this is that, music. You can play music that calms you down or makes you happy, etc. It's such a powerful tool. Smells like cooking cookies, estate agents, they do that. They bake in the houses when they have a show house, and then people walk in and they smell this beautiful smell, and it just makes them want to buy the house. It sounds ridiculous, but actually smell is a very, very powerful way. So there may be a smell that you relate to, a perfume or something that just makes you feel calm, an essential oil maybe. Movement, going for a walk, a little bit of a walk, 5-10 minutes, walk around the block, go out into your garden, feel the grass underneath your feet, stretch, shake it out. Dogs, I don't know if you know, dogs shake quite often. They shake their energy and their emotions out when they get stressed or too excited. And it actually works for us as humans as well. Then another thing is limit your stimulation. Stop watching Netflix, scrolling through Facebook and Instagram or all those TikTok videos. It's overstimulation and it's not really, really good, especially when you're in an anxious state. Journaling is extremely powerful. Just writing down and getting those thoughts. It doesn't need to make too much sense, but just getting it out and getting rid of it, it can help you tremendously. And then energy check-ins, asking, is this mine? It does, what is happening here? Acknowledging it, facing up to it, and understanding that, often anxiety is caused by that drama queen that lives in your imagination or your head. And sometimes it's not really yours. You stressing about and anxious about all this stuff that's not really yours. So these are some simple ways that you can help calm your anxiety in your everyday life. And at the end, after the resonance repatterning session, we've got a beautiful little tool that you can use to do that. All right. So
Caro,
now,
can I just make a point to tie the first 4 of those together? That links to
want
what
to
I
go
was
back to
saying.
the slide?
Yeah, please.
Yeah.
So grounding, sensory reset, movement, stopping the mental stimulation, all of that is about switching on your parasympathetic nervous system. It's about regulating your nervous system. That's what all these techniques do. So it's almost like ways to switch on your rest, digest, relax part of your nervous system and switch off the sympathetic nervous system, which is the one that's responsible for doing, which is what screens stimulate. So anything like sensory reset is like find 5 things that you can see, 4 things you can hear, 3 things you can feel or touch. What you're doing is you're activating your senses, which take you out of your mental brain and into your rest, digest, relax, your parasympathetic nervous system. That's what you're really doing. Okay.
Thank you. Okay, so resonance repatterning. I'm going to hand over to Jax, who's going to do the session with you. But basically, in a nutshell, resonance repatterning is an energy-based process for shifting subconscious or unconscious patterns that you have. It works with the body, mind, and energy field and identifies and transforms patterns that are keeping you stuck in a certain state or, that you just can't move forward. It creates lasting change in how you respond to triggers. So we talked about triggers earlier. Triggers are subconscious. It's like an anchor that's placed in your subconscious mind, and unless you work on it, you almost don't have any control over it. So it just happens. Like you'll hear that sound and suddenly you're triggered. So resonance repatterning is very powerful in overcoming that, and it's gentle, safe, and empowering. You'll see now when Jack starts with it. It's it's amazing. Okay, and what to expect in the session? This is going to be a relaxed, guided process. You don't need to do anything. Jax is going to talk you through it. You may notice some physical, emotional, or energetic shifts. And this is a safe space. Everything is optional. And Jax will give you support before, during, and after the process. Okay. And before I hand over to Jax, I am going to stop the recording. But I want to say this quote. Albert Einstein said, and this is something they teach you in science, energy cannot be created or destroyed. It can only be changed from one form to another. So if your energy in your body is out, you have to do something to work on it, to regulate it, to get it back into sync. It's very, very powerful. Okay. So I'm going to stop recording now and then over to you, Jax.